This video has been sponsored by Dehancer. For 10% off your next subscription, use promo code IXF. Welcome to this episode of Island by Film. My name is Wes. Today we're going to be taking your footage from this to this using Dehancer for the iPad. Okay, so let's start with the first screen that you'll see when you open up Dehancer for iOS. And you'll notice that you have the option right here to select the media that you're looking at importing. You can do this a number of ways. You can search through different folders. They have basically a little bit of a film reel here you can choose from. I'm going to go ahead and select from a piece of footage that I have that I want to edit. It's this one right here. You'll notice right away that that footage comes up into a pretty simple screen. But the first step that you need to do if you're going to be going through the entire workflow is to move Edit tab. This one takes you into the more important part of the whole setup right here. This allows you to be able to customize and create your own presets, or basically your own color looks or color grades. I want to kind of say in advance that I am not by any means an experienced color grader, so a lot of the color grading that I've done has been done in basic software like LumaFusion or Final Cut Pro. As far as I'm concerned, Dehancer has done a very, very good job of making things actually quite simple to operate. So you'll see right here, I've imported my source piece of media right here, but I need to select the type of media that it is. So you have all sorts of different options. They've done a great job of pulling in all sorts of source media types right here, including from all different camera brands, and many of them are the log source media inputs right here. So I'm going to select right here Apple iPhone Filmic Pro log V3. That's the one I'm going to select. So right away you can see as soon as I enter that, you'll see that it's automatically corrected some of that contrast that you'll see in log footage right away. And I'm going to just make a couple of quick adjustments in here. You do have the option to be able to adjust exposure compensation, temperature, tint. You can even adjust defringing. That can sometimes happen as a result of making some of these changes. So that's all available right there. I'm going to just up my temperature a little bit. I'm going to up it to say right around 30, 31. Right about there. Just warm this scene up just a little bit. I'm going to just adjust my tint down a little bit here. I'm going to adjust it down to about -8 or so. I like the look of that right there. I'm going to leave the defringe and defringe radius alone. The next thing I'm going to go over to the right is I'm going to select my actual film stock preset. So right here, you'll see you are given the option of 60 plus recreated film stocks. So it says that each simulates real color responses, contrast, curves, and grain. And then you have the option to be able to push and pull. This setting emulates basically under and overexposure during development, altering color density and contrast. So right here, we've got all sorts of different options. You can see a bit of a preview in each of these thumbnail windows. The one that I actually like the most is Cinestill. That'll be found in the color negative right here. I'm just gonna go Cinestill 800T. I really like the look of this specific one. I'm not gonna really adjust any of the push and pull on this at all, but we're gonna then move to the next tab, which is Developer. So Developer itself, this is the developer tool simulates film chemistry. Contrast boost adjusts the overall contrast, and gamma correction shifts midtones, and color separation selectively reduces saturation in highly saturated hues, while color boost adjusts overall color vibrancy. So I generally like to use this to boost my colors a little bit. You can do a number of different things here. I'm just going to boost my color to around, I don't know, around 17 or so. I kind of like the look of that right there. That looks pretty decent. And then from there, we're going to move on to compression. So compression is one of those interesting tools that I quite like. It says this tool mimics analog highlight roll off. And then the impact slider, of course, controls the strength of compression. White point shifts where the highlights clip, and tonal range defines how much of the image will be affected, while color density sets saturation in compressed areas. So I like this preset amount that they have here. You can see as you're sliding the slider though, it really changes the impact of this compression. And I think this is really one of the powerful tools that gives your footage that film type look. So I'm gonna just slide this over back to the standard 60 right there, and then leave all these other settings right alone. So you can play with these, see what works for you, make adjustments as needed. You'll notice here that as I slide the tonal range, things change obviously significantly to the right, tends to give you a flatter type look, which just compresses all those highlights even more. I like where it is standard, and then color density, of course, makes just really subtle adjustments to how this tool impacts your overall footage. Then let's go to expand right here. So expand allows you to adjust manually your black and white points. So this redefines the image's tonal range. So I'm gonna actually just adjust my black and white points, but what I'm gonna do for this first time is I'm actually gonna open up my histogram right here so you can actually see where my white and black points are clipping. And you'll see right here, as I move it all the way to the right, you can see I'm losing all of that detail in my shadows. If I pull that back right there to say around, I don't know, around 4 or so, you see I got a really nice punchy blacks. Nice contrast in that scene. And in the same way as here, I'm gonna move my white point down a little bit. I'm gonna move that to about right about there. I tend to like a little bit more of a contrasty look. So that's really why I've done that. And then once we move over to the print portion right here, you'll see right here that you're offered a number of different options when it comes to specific print media. And so essentially you have the option to pick a media that simulates either photo paper or print film. Options include Kodak 2383, Fujifilm 3513, which are both motion picture print films, and Kodak Endura Glossy is a photographic paper, and then you have also linear, which is a no paper emulation. So I like this Kodak Endura Glossy, but let's take a look and see how the rest of these actually affect your overall image itself. I'm gonna pull that back, and you'll see right here now, all of a sudden, I've lost, like all my blacks are crushed as soon as I introduce this print profile in here. But that's easy to change, right? And I find that sometimes you have to go backwards in tabs in order to fix those things again. So I'm gonna jump back here, and I think I was a bit heavy-handed with my black point adjustment. I'm gonna bring that back just a little bit, bring my white back just a little bit as well too, so you can see that's corrected it. I'm crushing some of the blacks here, but really, I mean, it's about the look for me. Then I'm gonna move over to the next tab, which is color head. So color head essentially is the CMY color head. It's a digital version of an analog and larger filters. So you can adjust your yellow, blue, magenta, green, and cyan red to creatively balance color. And then you can use print toning to separately color shadows, midtones, and highlights, and preserve exposure, avoids tone shifts from color changes. So I here gives you the option to be able to, obviously adjust your different colors here, and you can do this globally. You can actually, nice thing is if you want to adjust them all together, as soon as you hit this gang button, they all kind of slide and clip together. I'm gonna just shift all those back and just do a slight adjustment to my midtones. I'm gonna adjust my midtones to about a minus, let's see here, not that far, just a little bit, right about there. I'm gonna adjust my midtones, okay? So there's all sorts of adjustment that you can do in here. You have lots and lots of options. I'm just showing you how I got the look on this specific piece of footage. Next, we're gonna look at film grain. So this simulates actual grain structure. So you have the option of picking from 8, 16, 35, or 65 millimeter film formats, and also in different ISOs. So you'll see when you slide this down here, you have all of those options right there. Or you can actually go in and you can build a custom profile. So you can build that custom profile, and I'll open that up as well and show you, to basically create the size of grain, the amount of grain, the tonal range in the grain presence, and then adjust your film resolution to simulate grain sharpness. So there's a bunch of different options as far as that goes in here. I'm going to select, for the sake of this specific one, I'm going to select one that is 65 millimeter, 250 ISO. That's the look that I really like. But let's take a look at customizing this one quickly. And I'm just going to show you here where you have those options. One option that's really, really interesting right here, and you'll find that this resolution slider really changes the impact of how that grain impacts the sharpness of the image. And you'll see if I slide this all the way down there, you see the image just gets softer and softer and softer. And it's basically allowing the grain to create extra softness. Or I'm going to leave it in the original settings right here because I quite like the way that the grain looks on this, but I like that you can zoom in and you can take a look at how these things will impact your overall image. So I'm going to slide this up to 90 again, where it was roughly. And then I'm going to go back and I'll just go ahead and select 65 millimeter ISO 250. That's the one that I tend to like. You can obviously just do a global adjustment, which is just adjusting the amount of grain. You can see as I slide that up, it really impacts the amount of grain there. So if you want to have more of a subtle type footage, you can definitely do that. There's no question. So from there, you have the option to go to halation. So halation is one of those really neat things that creates a look that is really, really signature when it comes to doing that film grade or that film type edit on your footage. So halation simulates the red-orange glow around bright edges due to light scattering in film. So you can actually hit that right there, and you'll notice right here, I'm just gonna zoom in on that so you can see these highlighted areas. And I'm gonna select probably the heaviest one that I can find. So this 8 millimeter no remjet. And so you'll see right here that you see those bright red areas around and all of those highlights, just creating a really unique look that is really indicative of film. I mean, to me, that's a bit heavy-handed, that one right there. So I'm gonna just focus on doing something that is, a little bit more natural. I like this 65 millimeter, 70 millimeter look right here. You can see I'm still getting a bit of that look in certain areas where it actually gives me that kind of that red halo of sorts. I don't mind that whatsoever. I might even go to the 35 millimeter and adjust that up a little bit. It just creates more authenticity in your film grade. Next to the right would be bloom. So essentially, bloom diffuses light around high contrast areas. So great for things like portraits. And so you'll see if you adjust, I'm gonna just go here for the most extreme look to it. You can see as you adjust how the highlights tend to just glow. This is really kind of almost mimicking the look and feel of a mist filter. I like the fact that you can do this in software and it does a really, really good job of that. And you can just adjust this as you need and create that mist filter type look that basically blooms those highlights or those brighter areas in your scene. So I like the look of what that looks like right there. I'm gonna kind of stick with that right there. And then next you have some other options, and a lot of these are really, some of them are a bit heavy-handed, some of them are a bit unnecessary as far as I'm concerned. I wouldn't use them personally for my projects, but you may choose to use them. Vignette is one that I actually do like to use. It actually brings focus to whatever part of the scene that you want to bring focus to. You can actually offset your vignette. You can see as this slides to the right and left. So if I wanted to move this to an area of the scene that I want to focus a little bit more on, I can actually do that. I can adjust the exposure of the vignette, and it can be, really dark vignette if you want to. You have lots of adjustability in here. I kind of like the look of that right there. So I'm gonna kind of just maybe dial that exposure back up a little bit. And yeah, that looks good to me. Now, when you go to the right, you have the option to introduce film damage. So this feature allows you to be able to do a number of different things. And you obviously have some presets here that you can introduce, but I'm gonna go right to custom to show you how you can introduce some really unique characteristics in your film. Film grade edit. So you take a look right here, you can add dusts, you can add a ton of dust. You can see this dust just flying in here. I can adjust that dust scale there. Obviously, I'm just trying to show you the extreme of this. You can adjust, of course, the dust size. You can change it from white to black. So if you wanted, instead of white dust, you wanted black dust, you can adjust all those things. Those are all there to adjust. Next thing you have is the option to add hairs to your film grade edit. So you see, as soon as you start adding these hairs, this is something you'll often see on film that's being projected, right? So it creates a really unique look that looks more authentic. You can adjust the hair scale and you can see how you can really make this look like, you know, really vintage. And I mean, once again, it's a unique look, not necessarily for me, for the type of projects that I do, but it's there and it's available for you. If you want to turn any of these functions off entirely and leave them out of your export, you can actually just tap on that once and you can see right here, this grays out and the blue dot above the item is removed. You can turn that back on, turn that back off. If you wanted to see how that kind of looks, you can just preview your footage on off. And then as well, you can tap on the actual footage itself and you can see the grade that you've done removed there as well too. Now you have the option of doing overscan, film breadth, and gate weave. Overscan is the ability to be able to add almost like a bit of a frame in terms of the type of film that you're shooting. This is Super 35, so it allows you to be able to add that really classic looking film frame there. You could do all sorts of things, like even you have widescreen, you have Super 16, Super 8, which is probably one of my favorites as well too. You can see right here that the gate shape can be set to neat normal, neat sharp, neat rounded, off. You have lots and lots of different options as far as this goes. This is something that you can really play with to no end and create those custom looks for your videos. And I think this is awesome that Dehancer added this to this software. So I'm gonna actually deselect that right there. Film breadth itself, film breadth mimics analog frame-to-frame exposure shifts using periodic fluctuations in brightness, contrast, and color. So you'll notice if you have film breadth on as you're kind of sliding through your footage, you see these slight shifts in exposure, just giving you that really vintage projector type look. Gate weave simulates slight jitter and shake from mechanical film gates. So you have basically, once you export this, you'll see that the results allow you to be able to see that basically that slight jitter and shake in your footage, which just creates a bit more of a natural, more authentic experience with your footage. All right, so that pretty much covers that grade entirely. You'll see this is before, after. Even while I'm looking at this, I might make some quick adjustments. You know, I might turn that temperature a little bit warmer yet. I might actually go in here and in my expand, open that white point up just a little bit. I might actually go into developer and boost that color just a little bit more. I like to create a bit, especially when you have that backlit sun look, I want that to be nice and orange and nice and warm. So obviously this is all to taste. This is all to your desire. I'm just walking through the software so you can see exactly how things work. Now that's basically everything to get to the point where you can actually export this clip and then edit it, of course, within software like LumaFusion or software like Final Cut for the iPad. Now, once you're ready to export your footage, you can click on export. And of course you have the options to be able to export at different frame rates. This was shot at 24 FPS. So obviously I'm going to be exporting it at that. You can do it at full res. This was 4K, or you can also do it at 1080p and 720p, depending on what your project demands. And then of course you can adjust your megabits per second. So I'm gonna click confirm right here, and you'll see right here that this footage, 16 seconds long, takes about a minute to export right here. I'm gonna cancel that. Anyway, this shows you a little bit about how to work through Dehancer for the iPad and create your own custom looks. One thing I kind of want to point out here as well too, when you go back into the presets area right here and you select Dehancer team, they've have some pretty incredible pre-done grade looks that you can actually just select and customize yourself. There's tons of options in here to be able to play around with and create the looks that you're looking for. So, all right, this was just a quick walkthrough of this software. Wanted to show you guys what I'm experiencing with this. I highly recommend it. Once again, Dehancer sponsored this video, so I'm very grateful for that we've got a promo code available from Dehancer. So if you use the promo code IXF, you immediately get 10% off your next subscription for Dehancer for iOS. So I encourage you to do that. Give it a try. Let me know what you think in the comments below, if this was helpful, if you like this kind of content. And once again, thank you so much for watching this video. Please like and subscribe, and I look forward to sharing more content with you again in the future. Thanks again. This is Wes from Island by Film.